Hi guys, welcome. I was in the camera store the other day picking out my new Sony HX90V camera, and started talking to a guy who just bought a brand new Mavic, and he was going to take it home that evening and fly it in his small backyard covered in trees as his first flight. So yesterday when I was out testing the new camera and seeing how the video quality was, I thought I'll do a quick video on my tips on how before you fly your first Mavic. I would reckon for the first couple of flights till you really get used to it is to fly with the gimbal cover on it. Obviously you take the rubber part of it off, and you need to remove the actual cover because you need to remove the gimbal retainer. But as you can see on mine, I've made mine orange because so many times people fly without it, without removing it, and that causes all sorts of problems with the gimbal, causes things to jump out, things to go wrong. I think I've done over 120 hours with this thing since middle of December 2016, and I've had absolutely no issues with this craft whatsoever. So, but before you remove it, it's always a good idea just to take a soft cloth and just make sure the lens is clean, and it's a better way to do it with the retainer still in place. Then it just stands still. It's easier to get to it. Just make sure it's perfectly clean, because the last thing you want to do is go for a flight and then come back and seeing a fingerprint or a smudge or whatever on it. So always before you start switch the vehicle, the craft on, you need to remove that, because when you switch it on, the gimbal will calibrate itself, and if that's in place, obviously you end up with all sorts of warnings and funny things. I realize that most of you have been waiting for your Mavic for months and have finally, I don't know, got the money together, or DJI has finally delivered it to you, and all you want to do is fly it. It's just, you just want to go anywhere. Even if it's in your front yard or even inside the house, you just want to have a go. It really is not a good idea. Rather find an open place like this, no people around. Unfortunately now it's footy season in Australia, so they've put up a whole lot of poles here. This usually are not here, but I was very excited when I got my Mavic first. I did the pre-order, and that would have been 2.5 months. I got it just before Christmas, and ordered it in the beginning of October, and it arrived at my office, and of course all my friends were around there, and they'd all heard that I'd ordered this thing and all wanted to see it. So I took it out the box, showed everybody around, and then I thought, let me try and fly this thing inside. So it was inside a closed office building, all cubicles, and yeah, I had no problem with it, but it was really not a very clever thing to do. Anything could have gone wrong. Don't do it. I was lucky. I was very, very lucky, but don't do it. I then obviously went to a field, and then, because the great thing about the Mavic, it's so easy to fly, and that's also one of the worst things of the Mavic, because you get very confident, you actually get a bit cocky, and you think you can fly anywhere, and that's when things go wrong. So you need to always just respect the craft, I guess. It is so easy to fly, it does what you want it to do, but you do get very confident with it, and you think, I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll do all sorts of funny things and get close to things, because you've got the avoidance. Avoidance is just a backup. It's not, don't some push your luck there, I guess. But anyway, let's get into it. So the phone's in the cradle, ready to go. The aerials get extended up. Always have them at about, basically you would need them to be straight up. So as you are holding the controller, the cables need to be. You don't have one curved. Don't have them bent. They must be exactly straight up to get the frequency exactly right. Now, I would suggest, if this is your first flight, you can either fly it in beginner mode, it really, beginner mode really makes it fly a bit slower, makes it easier to control if you're not used to it. If this is your first drone, rather just fly in beginner mode for as long as you can, just to get used to the craft. The last thing you want to do is break it on the first day. Now, a few very, very important things. Before you even think of taking off, obviously you need to look at your surroundings. You need to make sure there's no cables, no trees, no people, nothing that can get in the way of causing you to crash or causing all sorts of problems. And I've got a big cell phone tower in the cross. You can see that there in the picture up there, but it hasn't caused me any issues at all. Even flying next to it, that hasn't given me any problems. It's a simple rule that I fly by, and I'm guessing if you do it that way, you wouldn't have any problems. Simply, when I fly my craft, I always remember that if for some reason something happens, if it goes dead and it falls, you need to make sure that you're not flying over people, cars, anywhere where it's really dangerous and can cause any injury to any person. Because there are so many people out there who just fly over people, and do the wrong thing. And the problem is, if enough people do the wrong thing, you're going to end up with legislation and bans, and you don't want quadcopters and getting a bad rap out there. So if you fly responsibly, you really shouldn't have a problem. I've had so many people come up to me and say, "Oh, what are you doing? How's it going? Can you show me this? Can you show me that?" But never ever, you don't fly over people, you don't fly where you're not supposed to fly. Just follow the rules and you will have so much fun. I'm just going to, just to be close to the camera, I'm going to take off from the actual table here. But before taking off, you need to make sure you have a GPS lock, at least 4 satellites. At this stage here, I've got 15. 15 is even better. And that's where people go wrong. To take off, just fly straight away. What you need to do is, when you take off, just hover where you've taken off for 5 seconds until you actually see on the screen, and you'll get an audio and saying that the GPS, your home location, has been locked. If you're flying off a balcony or flying somewhere when the GPS hasn't caught up yet, if something goes wrong, the craft will not come back to where it's supposed to be, where you took off from. You can also, in the software, obviously move the home point if you're moving around or walking after the craft. But it's so important that as you take off, that it actually locks the home point. That's saying to me home point has been locked. Obviously saying obstacles, because it's obviously seeing me as well now. And there it's flying. And I can put the controller down now. That's how stable this craft is. It'll just stay there. If it gets a bit of an obstruction, it will go up. I'll just bring it down back into view again. It just stays there. And this is how good this craft is. And that's when people get carried away a little bit with it and do all sorts of funny things. I don't even know if you can hear me now, because actually the wind of it's probably making quite a noise. I will just fly a little bit backwards there. Keep it out of the shot, so at least you can hear me. But that's hands-free how good this thing is. I'll get a little bit on the horizon, and that is stable. Okay, there's no wind blowing. But even if there was wind blowing, it'll stay right there. It really is just that good.
It's a great quadcopter, this, definitely. And if you're just watching this, in the market for one, thinking you want to buy yourself one, it really, you don't have to think twice. This thing really is just the best. There's a lot of cheaper ones out there, and obviously a lot of more expensive ones out there, but for portability, for flight, this thing is fantastic. And on a warm day, it's good for cooling too. Just land in your hand. Now, landing in your hand, of course, takes actually a little bit of practice. People are a bit scared of it. I do it all the time. The problem is the craft's very low and can hit into things. I've got these legs. They just clip on there and they do a good job. Just slide on like that, gives it that little bit of height. But what I also want to try now is what I've bought is one of these little gimbal covers. Now, as you can see with the actual camera is very close to, if you crash, the first thing it's going to hit is the camera. And sort of saves it a little. What I've done now, I've just landed the craft in the field because it's a bit noisy when you take off. But when you take off, you will hear it says take off.
The hold point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
Once you get that confirmation, then you know you can fly around. Well guys, I hope that made the first flight a little bit more easy and less stressful. And but what you need to also remember is when you finish flying, you've got to replace the gimbal guard. A lot of people have problems with actually fitting it. So basically you just go straight in below the gimbal, clip straight in there, a little line there, patches up, it's in there nice and tight. It's just to keep the gimbal from moving around because you don't want while transporting it to shake around unnecessarily and break things. And then when you're finished, but I would like to suggest in the first, but when you're flying with this on, the craft will start, depending on the temperature, it will get quite warm. So it's best to fly without it, but I would reckon in the beginning maybe just fly or buy yourself one of these. Well guys, I hope that helped, and anything that I've skipped, forgotten, I've been flying a bit long and sometimes there's things that beginners have done that I might have skipped through, but if there's any help I can give you, please just leave in the comment below. I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Cheers guys, and good flying.